Tonight on Panorama, social media influencers, the new digital superstars.
This is a seismic shift in the way a generation consume their entertainment.
The faces of an advertising revolution, making fortunes from platforms like Instagram and YouTube.
The most I've been offered is £3,000 for one Instagram story.
But is it upfront?
There is a tremendous amount of advertising on social media platforms that is being done deceptively.
It's time to celebrate grits and some Ciroc red berry.
In the online world, are big brands sticking to the rules?
Gambling, tobacco, alcohol, products that we know cause harm, is happening in something of a kind of Wild West.
And who pays the price?
When the anorexia was at its worst, I just deleted social media because it was just making everything worse.
How we're being sold to is changing fast. It used to be easy to spot what big business was up to. We knew what was going on. But now it's more complicated. Advertising has changed. In this new world of smartphones and social media, brands have found a way of reaching directly into our lives.
Good morning and welcome to Dubai!
A YouTube stamp of me.
These are the stars of Instagram, YouTube and Snapchat.
Hanging out with the world's biggest domestic cat, called Badger.
People who've built huge followings off the back of our obsession with social media, posting about anything from fashion to lifestyle advice.
I think I broke my neck. That's how I feel right now.
As we look into their lives, they show us what we need to buy to be just like them.
I have a little integration sponsorship from The Body Shop, who have these new body yogurts.
And I'm really excited to be doing this video because I'm working with Mango on it.
I'm working with Gillette today.
Driven by an industry desperate to capture our attention, some of these digital superstars have revolutionised how companies plug their products. These are the social media influencers.
These influencers are like friends to their followers. You know, they let them into their lives. They share their triumphs and their sorrows and their day-to-day with these people, and they build trust. And brands can use that trust as a really convincing way of kind of putting their products into those lives.
Xaro Mcdermott is a prominent UK influencer. She shot to fame after appearing on the last series of Love Island. How did life change for you after being on Love Island?
A lot, very dramatically. Every brand that existed, it felt like, wanted to jump on the bandwagon. And I was inundated with deals, and to be honest, still am. I think, wow, everyone kind of wants a piece of me and a piece of my social media, and it's quite flattering in a way, it really is.
After Love Island, her Instagram following exploded. She now has over 1 million followers. Many of them are young women under 25. On nights out, she's mobbed for selfies, and her posts receive thousands of likes almost instantly.
Got over 1,000 likes in a minute.
With such a huge following, Zara is proving irresistible to some brands. Today, she's modelling a dress for an online fashion store. She's taking pictures for her Instagram feed.
Social media makes products more real and more enticing to young people. I think people could start to see through really scripted advertisements that you might see on TV, whereas someone seeing how a dress might look while I'm out in a restaurant shows them how it really looks.
What's the most you've ever got offered for a post of a product?
£3,000 for one Instagram story, which would probably take me maybe 10 minutes to do.
Influencers are now so in demand that talent agencies have sprung up to represent them. They connect brands to influencers who then promote products online. Gleam Futures has around 50 top social media stars that can reach a massive audience.
Zoe Sugg has 12 million followers on YouTube, just under 11 million followers on Instagram. This is her first novel. It sold 78,000 copies in the first week. It set a record as being the fastest selling debut novel by any author in history.
Advertising money is pouring into influencer marketing. The industry is said to be worth more than $4 billion worldwide and is still growing.
This isn't a medium that is going to go away or be a fad and then disappear the next minute. This is a seismic shift. You now have an audience generation that consume media in a very different way than the generation previous to them. And you also have a generation of talent or influencers that have access to audiences without the filters of the previous generation. So the editors, the media owners, the commissioners, the studio bosses. You have direct access to an audience.
Influencer marketing is a world away from the iconic advertising campaigns of the past. Wherever an ad appears, on TV, in print, or online, strict rules govern how brands market their products. It must be clear when we're being sold something.
And all because the lady loves milk tray.
Everybody here is well versed on what the guidelines are for influencers, how you can make a post really clear to an audience that it's got a commercial partner and all of those kind of things. We've got people on our books who are hugely frustrated by having to compete for what would be their dream job with people that don't follow the rules.
Just a week after our interview, news broke which took the shine off what Gleam had said.
Ellie Goulding and Rita Ora are among 16 public figures who've agreed to be more open on social media about when they're paid to endorse products.
And two of Gleam's biggest stars, Zoe Sugg, also known as Zoella, and Jim Chapman, were amongst them. The Competition and Markets Authority had been investigating if ads were being properly flagged up by social media stars.
In a number of posts that we saw, there was nothing at all to show that a payment had been made or a product was gifted or loaned to the individual or celebrity. They really need to take this seriously because it has a big impact on the decisions that we take about what we want to buy, and that can also affect other businesses that are playing by the rules that want to have a chance to fairly sell their products.
The CMA says it will take court action if influencers don't stick to promises to be clearer. Gleam has now told Panorama that Jim Chapman and Zoe Sugg are committed to providing absolute clarity to their audiences. It's not just transparency that's an issue in the social influencer business. The advertising laws protect under 18s from gambling and alcohol advertising. But that hasn't stopped some companies approaching influencers.
Yeah, I like that one.
Xaro Mcdermott has discovered this dark side of the industry for herself.
Probably 60 to 70% of the stuff that comes my way I'll turn down.
What sort of stuff?
Anything gambling related, alcohol related. You wouldn't even believe the amount of 12, 13, 14-year-olds that see our posts. I would never want to sell something that could be potentially harmful and dangerous to someone.
Most YouTubers tell their camera nearly everything, and it almost makes you feel like you know the person, even though you've never met them.
13-year-old Matty Hibbert is a keen follower of social media influencers.
When you're watching them, it's like you've got a window into their life.
Yo guys, it's Mo. So we're gonna kick this video off with
With 8 million subscribers, this hugely popular YouTuber is one of the influencers Matty followed, Morgs.
He normally does quite family-friendly content, just stuff that would appeal to quite a lot of kids.
What?
Morgs is only 17 himself. On one post, he seemed ecstatic.
Worth $776!
I was scrolling through YouTube one day and I saw a video by Morgs.
Here we go, boys and girls!
And he was opening these boxes on the sites and winning amazing things.
3, 2, 1!
Like iPhones in boxes that were like £15. He was getting stuff worth hundreds and thousands. That's what kind of sold it to me, and that's the main reason I actually went on the site.
Morgs was promoting Mystery Brand. It looks like a game, but it actually involves spending real money to try to win a top prize, much like gambling. In just the last 3 months of 2018, the Mystery Brand website received more than 3.5 million hits.
There was a box where you could actually win a gaming PC, which are really expensive, like thousands of pounds. And my first reaction was, I want that.
Matty never had to give his age. He spent his birthday money trying to win the expensive PC.
What happened then?
I won a key ring and a pot of slime, but it never arrived.
So you ended up with absolutely nothing?
Yeah, nothing at all. £35 vanished.
What do you think about Morgs?
He knows that his fan base is mostly children around this age, and that he would promote something that is gambling. Right, it's very bad.
Morgs has told Panorama he was assured the site was an e-commerce store, but accepts he was naive. He's removed the video and apologises to his followers. He hasn't denied that he was paid to promote Mystery Brand.
They're a big influence, aren't they, on sort of teenagers, so, I mean, they should be being careful what they sort of put on. They should be regulated so that people of his age aren't like, oh, that looks good, but they're going to, aren't they? They're going to think, oh, he does it, so that looks really good, I want to do it.
Mystery Brand's website is still online and is now being investigated by the Gambling Commission. We've had no response to emails we sent to the address on the site. YouTube told Panorama that creators must ensure their content complies with local laws and YouTube guidelines, including disclosing if they've been paid to endorse products. They also said that they take action quickly if videos violate these policies.
One of the attractive aspects of social media influencing is because it happens on social media, it's happening in something of a kind of Wild West. A place where the rules are often not enforced, a place where infractions often aren't seen. And I think definitely when you are a gambling company, when the rules have really tightened for you in the traditional media market, that's one of the drivers for you to take to a place like social media.
This is about more than young influencers recommending the latest product to their followers. Behind it all is big business. They spend millions of pounds on social media influencing. DJ Khaled has been dubbed the king of Snapchat. British booze giant Diageo, behind brands such as Smirnoff and Guinness, was keen to tap into his huge following. He promotes the company's Xaro vodka.
2 weeks in a row, #1. It's time to celebrate. Grits, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, a little berries, and some Ciroc red berry.
His posts caught the attention of US lawyer Bonnie Patton. Her organisation, Truth in Advertising, spotted that DJ Khaled's sponsored posts hadn't all been clearly labelled.
He was deceptively marketing a number of alcohol brands on his Snapchat stories without any disclosure that these were commercials.
After Truth in Advertising contacted DJ Khaled, he deleted some posts and flagged others as adverts. He didn't admit any wrongdoing. Truth in Advertising went on to raise concerns about 50 more influencers and their 1,700 posts on Instagram.
Influencers were acting like Santa Claus to sell Ciroc vodka, using cannabis-infused mixer with the Ciroc vodka. People give a recipe where you pour in basically half a bottle of Ciroc with a cap full of mixer. These 50 influencers account for over 100 million followers. None of the influencers that we looked into had any mechanism to restrict their Ciroc ads to those over the legal drinking age.
Diageo is a London-based British company. The UK's regulator, the Advertising Standards Authority, has asked Diageo to stop a social media campaign before, saying it was likely to appeal to children. In this case, it decided it couldn't act.
We were very surprised by the ASA's response. We thought what we handed them was the perfect kind of evidence for them to go forward with an action. This is a lost opportunity for the ASA to say something in an area that can really harm kids.
This is the Truth in Advertising letter, and this is the response of the ASA. You can have a look, and I've got some of the posts as well.
Well, just from a quick skim read of this, it looks like the issue here was over the jurisdiction of the influencers that were involved in this, that the influencers were based in the US or other parts of Europe rather than the UK.
Diageo is a British company. The product is sold in the UK. It just doesn't add up that this wouldn't be your responsibility.
Well, I'm very happy to have a look at that, but these jurisdictional issues are not always straightforward, but it tends to be the case that if the advertising is originating from a different jurisdiction, then we would regard that as being a matter for the authority in that country. But without you having raised this with us in advance of this interview and given us an opportunity to look at the facts, it's difficult for me to say any more.
2 months on, the American regulator, the FTC, is still investigating. Diageo continues to use social media influencers. In a statement, it told Panorama it's been editing and removing the non-compliant influencer posts it can control, and has asked its influencers to be clearer in their posts. An agent for DJ Khaled didn't come back to us. Snapchat says it relies on the influencers and brands to make clear if there's a commercial relationship and to work within advertising laws.
You are spending an awful lot more time on your phones, a lot more time on social media. There are dangers to phones and social media. Do you feel pressure when you're looking at social media or looking at your phone, looking at anything online, to buy and surround yourself with certain products?
At Crestwood Community School in Hampshire, the new global stars of social media are a part of nearly every child's life. Who follows people on social media who are like famous Instagrammers and YouTubers? Hands up high if you do. I see a half hand there. So that's most people. After assembly, I met up with a group of year 10 and 11 students. How much time do you spend each day on social media?
7 hours.
I could arguably say 10 hours.
A day? Do you think you could function as a teenager without social media?
Not at all. Not even a single bit.
Some of the students told me that social media can be positive for them, though following influencers with seemingly perfect lives isn't always healthy.
With celebrities, when I was younger, I felt sad because I didn't look like them, or I didn't feel like I was as attractive as them.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, I feel like that as well. And like lifestyle choices, like what to eat and like what body size you want. If I spend too long on social media, I feel a bit depressed when I come back to reality because it's so much, like I can't handle it.
The stars of social media need their followers to trust them. Children seem most prepared to. The relationship has gifted advertisers a near captive audience. But is this combination of adolescence, unrealistic body images, and hidden marketing too toxic a mix?
On a daily basis, we're picking up issues to do with children's mental health. Social media being a massive part of that. The self-harming, the suicide attempts. They see these role models how they have these perfect lives, and they aspire to that, but there's that sense of, will they ever be good enough? And what it really has knocked is children's self-esteem and how they feel about themselves.
Katie Holloway was a second-year university student when she says she suffered as a result of her exposure to social media.
I found that I was on Instagram and things, just scrolling like every night, and there were certain accounts that I would just look at every day. I was just obsessed with social media. I used to follow loads of like fitness accounts, models or fitness models, and I would be looking at what they're eating, what they're doing, and because if I do that, then it's like in your head you think, oh, you might end up looking like that.
Katie had anorexia, and hooked on social media, she was obsessed about what she ate.
I was terrified of food. If like I went home and my mum cooked for me, like it was overwhelming emotion. Like I was just so scared of eating it because I thought it was gonna make me gain weight. I was really depressed. I was just so depressed. When I got to my worst, then I realised that things had to change and I had to start doing things differently to recover from anorexia. I just deleted social media because it was just making everything worse.
So guys, I've just finished filming, which means a lot of drinking and a lot of kebabs. And I've heard a lot of people go on about Skinny Coffee Club's 7-day espresso program. Now,
amongst the social media feeds of health and fitness influencers, weight loss drinks and diet supplements are everywhere.
And increased energy.
I would highly recommend it. The results I've got are absolutely amazing. I feel
One of
so
them
much better
is
in
Skinny
myself.
Coffee Club.
Right back on track with going to the gym.
I can't believe it. I lost 8 pounds in 7 days.
I feel really energetic and less bloated.
I'm feeling really good and toned.
An army of influencers tells us how it's changed their lives.
It curbed my appetite. I wasn't hungry at all.
I can't thank you enough for Skinny Coffee Club for helping me reach my goals in such a short space of time.
Skinny Coffee Club. Skinny Coffee Club.
Skinny Coffee Club.
You can buy Skinny Coffee Club in health food shops on the high street. It recommends people drink a mug a day.
Oh, here it is. Skinny Coffee Club. Simple, fast and fabulous.
On the company's website, customers are assured that the product will burn fat fast and boost metabolism, and is clinically proven to lose weight fast. In 2017, the ASA issued a formal warning against Skinny Coffee Club, telling them to remove these claims. But a year and a half later, the company hasn't changed its website and carried on recruiting influencers. Charlotte Rollin was approached by Skinny Coffee Club in March last year.
So the first email says, "Hi, I run Skinny Coffee Club and we're currently recruiting brand ambassadors for our products. And I was wondering if this is something that you would be interested in. We mainly focus on Instagram. You can check ours out here. If you'd like to know more on how to get started, let me know and we can get you sorted."
Charlotte blogs about fashion and mental health issues.
So if you're not already aware, I've spoken about my eating disorder on my Instagram and Twitter quite a lot, and on my blog really.
Charlotte's had anorexia. She believes many of her followers have had similar issues.
But yeah, I just thought now would be a good time. I wouldn't say I'm like fully recovered, but I'm definitely in like a far better place than I was.
She was appalled that she'd been approached by a company with a product claiming to help weight loss.
Show me your response then, because you replied here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what did you say?
So I basically explained that after they'd emailed me 3 times, I felt it was necessary to reply, basically in the hope of preventing any further correspondence from them. I find it extremely distasteful and ill-informed that you would consider me an appropriate promoter for your product. I would under no circumstances promote a product which encourages women to feel inadequate with their bodies. I would certainly never do so with my audience, many of whom have also suffered with disordered eating. These companies basically won't stop at anything to try and promote their products and get people on board with influencer marketing, because I think that is probably one of the most effective ways that they're gaining customers.
It's been another amazing week using Skinny Coffee Club.
So get following, girls.
What we have with Skinny Coffee Club is a company that's been sanctioned some time ago, is ignoring that, still making claims on its website and still being pushed constantly by social media influencers. Does that mean that you don't have the power to control what these people are saying?
No, I don't think it's as binary as that. Clearly there are challenges in regulating the internet, and there are challenges in regulating some of the promoted posts that social influencers are pushing. It would be lovely if we could wave a magic wand and stop everything immediately, but life isn't like that. We will look carefully into the example that you've just told me about and see whether or not we can build the case against this company.
Skinny Coffee Club hasn't responded to Panorama. Facebook and Instagram have now blocked UK users from seeing the 2 examples we'd sent them. Influencers and the brands that pay them can only reach their audiences through a handful of the world's biggest companies. Instagram, Snapchat and YouTube now have more than 3 billion users.
The tech giants have always maintained that they are not themselves responsible for what is being published on their platform, that they are platforms, not publishers, in fact. The tech is moving at a dizzying pace, and the tech companies themselves are the only people that can kind of keep up with that. The journey now is trying to convince them and trying to work with them, I think, to try and find out how they can step up and take more responsibility in these areas.
The public outcry over imagery on social media promoting self-harm and suicide is putting pressure on social media companies to do more to look after children.
The government tells social media companies to take more responsibility for harmful online content in a bid to protect vulnerable young people.
The giant social media companies insist they are continually improving measures to protect children. But the patience of England's Children's Commissioner is already running out.
If you're growing up in the digital age, as all kids are now, you've got 5 or 6 companies that have a huge power in your life, and you're absolutely the small guy in the end of that without any power or say. And that just has to change if companies chose not to follow the legal requirements. There could be fines, there could be closing off, they could be shut down and the like. None of us would think it would be a good thing to drop our kids off at a park gate at 9 o'clock at night and just leave them to wander around in the dark. But essentially, what we're doing with the internet is doing that and leaving them to fend for themselves.
Social media promised to improve all our lives by making us better connected. The business of selling has ended up with a direct line to our children. With fortunes at stake, who will protect them?